Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Charlie with another video. Today I will be reviewing two books. But before we get to that, some announcements or an announcement. So a while back, I actually tweeted that I was thinking of adding two new features to this channel, two new shows, two new a series, whatever you want to call it. Um, in a semi-regular basis, so they wouldn't be up like the reviews which I usually do every week, every weekend actually, every Saturday. I'm recording the reviews because it's the only time I have some time to myself to do so. Um, but because I'm just buying a lot less books and most of them are now monthly, there will be some weeks where I wouldn't be putting up any sort of content, new content. So to sort of try to build up more viewership, I guess, get more people interested because I'm seeing the reviews aren't grabbing as much views, and I really don't do this for the views. It's just something I've been doing for such a long time because when I started back in what was it 2013, 5 years ago. um, People responded positively to that because I was just showing the books that I got that week, and commented on those. I've been trying to sort of mix it up for a while, showing stuff from my collection, doing some other type of reviews, bringing some new topics into the videos that aren't necessarily comic book related, but sort of a way to show some of the other stuff I'm interested in. Uh, but I think there's like a lot of stuff I want to talk about, and I take a long time in the review videos to get into the reviews and then talk about some other things um, that I just thought I'll add some extra new content, some new content uh, that would create a variation, add some variety to the channel, um, and you know add some more interesting topics, videos for those specific topics that I want to talk about that I think are interesting. So, like I said, this is a sort of a semi-regular thing that will probably be showing up on those weeks where I don't have any new books to talk about. So the first one will be retro reviews, which is, if you've been watching my channel for a while now, I've actually used that title before when I'm talking about some books that I'm interested in recommending to people. I think they're interesting. So now they will be, retro reviews with an episode number. I'll probably even put, the issue or issues I'm reviewing, or if it's like a storyline, a story arc, probably put the title of that story arc that I'm reviewing. So this will actually cover, like, from the few Silver Age comics that I've got to around comics from 2011, maybe 2012. Gotta check exactly where I started. So books that I didn't review from the New 52, for example, I'll probably talk about those that I didn't talk about. But yeah, so it's gonna be very wide. So it's not just gonna be DC books, it's gonna be Marvel books that I've collected throughout the years. It's gonna have some back issues I've shown that I've got, but I never really got to review or talk about those as well. So that's so actually I do have so the first episode of Retro Reviews should be up next week. That's the one I have planned. Actually, know what book I'm going to talk about, which sort of goes back to my earliest days as a collector, or as a comic book reader more specifically, than as a collector. Uh, so that's gonna be up next week. But the other show that will also or will also the will be coming up is something I'm actually just toying around with the idea of calling it the Adventures of the Golden Age Superman, which will focus on the Golden Age Superman, some history, some stuff that I've been finding out about, the Golden Age Superman, the general history of DC Comics that is so involved with Superman, believe it or not. But mostly I will be reviewing Golden Age stories. Those I will be getting from the 10 volume Superman Chronicles that came out a few years ago. They were 10 volumes. So that basically covers from 1939 to around, I believe, mid 1944. I have to check on that. So I'll probably be reading one story from that chronologically. So I go through like one story for video, finding out some interesting things about that as well. Um, so I know when that one will be up. I haven't recorded anything. I'm not sure if I have any books coming out in 2 weeks. But I'll probably try to record a bunch of those as well as the retro reviews. So uh, I don't feel pressured of having to record a video immediately and just start putting them up um, randomly. Like I said, on a semi-regular basis if I have some time to record those, or just do it like I'm doing right now, recording it on a Saturday and putting it up the same day. And then I do record them because I never really do any editing or anything. Um, so yeah, so that's the announcement I wanna share with you. So that book, I'll just say it. It's gonna be Flash, Volume 2, issue 79, which is which is the one of the very first comics I bought back in 1993. So interesting story there. I actually showed the other book that I've actually bought as well. The other first book, actually bought two books that at the same time, which is Superman number 81 and Flash number 79. Those were the first two comics I ever bought in 1993 when I was 14 years old. So let's get on to the review. So first off, I'm gonna talk about this book, Elseworld issue number 8. Sadly, the final issue of this series, because, well, as it sometimes happens with the comic book business, especially with Image Books, which is mostly financed by the creators, and they do depend on sales. Elseworld didn't sell very well. Just a handful of people bought it. I love this series. It has a lot of potential. a lot of interesting stories coming out of it. But yeah, I mean, it ended. So this issue picks up where the last issue left off, issue 7, where they finally find the portal that would take D.B. Cooper and Amelia Earhart back to Earth, but they ended up, in 2018. They were, we find out how the U.S. government came to having a portal that would take them to this other world where DB and Amelia were leaving, found themselves. But it really just ends with them rescuing rescuing her, which was the guess the fiance, the girlfriend of Court. Amelia's good friend Court. I think this is him. So mostly they try to escape the facility which they were trapped in. Find a way back to the portal, and that's where basically it ends. We get the final page though. We get the sort of summary of what happened after, but it definitely just goes through it like really, really quick. Hoping that maybe someday a new volume would come out so we can get more of these stories. I mean, I remember when it first came out, there was a lot of promotion for it. I think a little bit, which is what got me interested in the book in the first place. But yeah, it just ended a little too fast. The series, and I always sort of felt like the first arc was a little rushed, but it's very compressed storytelling. And so this every issue sort of reads very, very fast because it's very compressed and a lot of things happened. So it was, and then so it was an enjoyable series. Perhaps not, at least for me as a reader, wasn't very satisfactory because everything just moved very, very fast because it was very compressed storytelling to just have the story be each arc just last four issues. So a lot of things had to happen, but the writing and the pacing was a little too sparse for it to get the big panels, and so it just felt like you read very, very fast. But it was a good series. I really enjoyed it. It was different. It was fun. It was lighthearted. I think lighthearted as well. Um, and I'm sad to see it go. So next up, this Superman #1. This is the David Mack variant, which I really liked. Um, and so this is a great first issue. I mean, it picks up from Man of Steel, of course. But what I really enjoyed about this issue is, the fact that we get to see Superman in a much more vulnerable position. I mean, a lot of people just say, Superman is super powerful, and yet some of these the art by Ivan Rice, these sort of quieter moments that we see, these sort of panels where he's just those open shots as he's remembering John and Lois, just makes him feel very vulnerable. The most powerful man in the world, the most powerful alien in the world, and yet without his family, he's very vulnerable. That's where most of his strength comes. His strength from his family, which is a very different take, I think, because well, post crisis, he had the Kents, and so that uh, sort of, I guess, helped. I mean, I really think I really like Superman without the Kents, because at times I felt that Grandpa Kent sort of served as a bit of a crutch when it came to Superman making certain decisions. Uh, but now that he has Lewis and John and a family, you know he wasn't necessarily alone, and now he feels rather lonely. So this issue starts with Superman trying to find a way to find John and Lois, because the communicator that Jor-El gave him got destroyed by Ragal Zol when he destroyed the fortress. So he has no way of communicating with them. So he's trying to sort of wandering, in space, until he finds the Dominators, and he's reminded he what he's supposed to do, which is protect Earth from uh, any sort of threat to it. Then the issue moves to the final destruction of the fortress. The Justice League is there. Everything that uh, that survived has been cataloged, cleaned up, and removed. And then Superman finds the crystal that was the basis for the creation of the fortress, and takes it to the Bermuda Triangle. So we get the new Fortress of Solitude in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Um, and then we get this the Daily Planet. He's actually writing the story about the new fortress, but decides not to do it. And then he gets called by John Johns, who throughout their little conversation, Superman goes and answers a emergency after emergency. But the main point of this conversation is that John Johns proposes to him that maybe he should sort of take over the world in a way, and lead the world and humanity to a much better place. Which we sort of get this little flashback from Man of Steel, where Jor-El questions what his purpose was. Was it just trying to find it? Uh, so yeah, we get like this little flashback from Man of Steel, where Jor-El asks Superman if his only purpose is to put out fires, basically, and so it does sort of jar Superman that sort of idea of him taking over. I mean, it's not a new idea, by the way, since back in the 2000 they did a story like that, or what is like, yeah, around 99 2000 they did a story like that where Superman takes over the world, and that wasn't a very good idea in the first place. So it does jar Superman, that very proposition, because it brings up it makes him question if he's doing enough as Superman, if he could do more, and if what John proposes is something that he would do, that maybe that's the way to live up to his potential. Um, but while he ponders that, we end up having the Earth be sent into the Phantom Zone. Um, so, Man of last week, what it was in Man of Steel #6, Ragazol was sent to the Phantom Zone. So next issue, he's back now that the Earth somehow ended up being sucked into the Phantom Zone. Um, so a lot of stuff happened in this issue, and I'm actually loving that. This is a #1, and it's not such a big deal. Just a regular $3.99 price with two variants. Is one, and the Adam Hughes variant as well, and the regular cover. I'm saying that when it comes to #1s, DC just doesn't make such a big deal about them. Marvel, every #1 they've put out, they sort of make them, these huge books, that are cost what, $6-7. I mean, I was kind of curious of picking up Amazing Spider-Man #1, but I mean, that it cost in Mexican pesos 132 pesos, and that's with the lowered price because the exchange rate, just the peso went down now or up. So I thought it's just ridiculous. I mean, this has been putting out Superman #1, Catwoman #1, a bunch of #1 books where not everyone can easily pick up and not feel like they're paying a lot of money. I mean, okay, it's cool that you get a lot more story content, but if I were to bring in new readers, I try to make them as accessible in price as possible. You know, and I always love that DC is doing that. And with the new paper stock they're using, or the old paper stock they're using, even the big 50 issues, Flash #50 and Wonder Woman #50, double-sized 50th issues, are being sold at their regular cover price. So it's gonna get my opinion out there of why I don't buy Marvel a lot these days, is because pricing and actual content doesn't necessarily their present necessarily reflect uh, the the actual product content wise. I don't know if they're actually still making 28-page comics, which is what I remember not too long ago. They were doing those. Their comics are actually 28 pages with 20-page story content and then 8 pages for advertising. But at a $3.99 price, wow, this it keeps giving you 32 pages of actual page count with only 20 pages of story with 12 pages of ads. Now they're going back to, I believe, to the 22 page page count for story, plus the 10 pages of ads. This was actually 23 pages. uh, you know but again, the art by Ivan Rice, wonderful. I like the yellow paper stock. The colors do look a little different. The new Fortress I mean, this New Fortress is just spectacular, complex in its design. They are just a great book, which is part of an, despite being a number one, it's part of a larger ongoing storyline, which we don't know when it will end. So, anyways, I'm just rambling on for no purpose. So, as always, until next time, keep smiling.